Hello everyone and welcome to the Endangered Edition, the podcast where we talk about endangered and threatened species from all over the world while they're still here. I am Reese Murphy, and today on our debut episode we are talking with Dan Rumsey, head reptile keeper of the Australian Reptile Park, about the plight of the Manning River turtle from the mid-north coast of New South Wales, Australia. Today's episode was recorded on-site at the Reptile Park. Enjoy! Hello everyone, today our episode is shot from the Australian Reptile Park on the central coast of New South Wales, where I'm joined by head reptile keeper Dan Rumsey. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. Was it a busy day at the park today?
At the moment, yes, it's always busy, particularly since we opened post-COVID restrictions. I've had some record days.
Excellent. Now, in addition to the park, you also work on some conservation projects associated with the park.
Yeah, so the Reptile Park is a tourism facility, and that's what it's been based on for a very, very long time. We provide an opportunity for people to see wildlife in a very different setting than how I would generally look for animals. So I'm happy to walk around a bush for 6 hours and maybe see a koala, and if I don't, it doesn't matter, I'll go again the next day. Most people don't want to do that. They want to go to a reptile park or a zoo and see the koala within 5 minutes. So we get that, and we provide that opportunity for people to do it in a fun environment, engaging environment, which is good. But then on top of that, Reptile Park, and kudos to Robin Weigel, John Weigel, Tim, Liz and the team, because they expanded into what's called Aussie Ark. So Aussie Ark was formerly Tablelands Ark. It's a not-for-profit organisation, and basically that's our conservation hub. Now, it started with devils, but has evolved. Things like eastern quoll, long-nosed potteroo, and of course, most importantly for me, Manning River turtle. And it's now expanding into more New South Wales turtle species as well.
So how long has the project been running, and why is it so necessary for these turtles that they receive some help?
My project, and I guess my passion project, was the Manning River turtle, and that's kind of what we started about 3.5 years ago. Tim Faulkner, who's the general manager of the park and president of Aussie Ark, was a massive push for this. He really believed in the project, and he kind of, I could say, got it over the line. And since its establishment, we've already seen some really good positive results. Now, we've got a long way to go. It's like we're talking about a turtle species that's been on the planet for over 50 million years, and obviously now in decline, and mainly in decline because of people, anthropogenic causes. So, and also too, the introduction of feral fox and pig. They destroy turtle nests, but also too, they kill adult female turtles. Now, these turtles are designed to have low recruitment, so small amounts of juveniles reaching adulthood, but they can't survive off zero recruitment. So there's a big difference. So there's no juvenile turtles making that stage from the egg back to the water. Now, eventually, that will catch up with the population, and they use a term called ghost populations, where you still see a lot of these animals, but because they're all adults, eventually those adults will die out. That's going to happen, whether that's in 10, 20, 30 years. But then there was going to be no recruitment coming through. So when those adults all eventually disappear, those breeding animals all start to die out, and because there's been such a sustained poor recruitment levels, all of a sudden they'll be gone.
And do we have any ideas on the numbers of the turtles right now?
We estimate between 500 and 1,000. The Manning River itself is a fairly large river system, and its tributaries that run off that, things like the Barnard River. And it sounds like a lot, but you compare that to, say, green sea turtles, where we know there might be over 300 or 400,000. It is a pretty small number, 500 to maybe 1,000, and the majority of those are all adult turtles. And that's what we worry about. Yes, it's always hard to find juvenile turtles. They're far more cryptic than their adult counterparts. So I've surveyed in many different rivers, and it's quite rare that you find little ones, but you generally find a couple. Whereas what I've observed is in the Mannings, just the numbers are so small of those juveniles. And I've visited nest sites before where females have nested, and you can see fox tracks, fox digging up the nest itself, and then discarded eggshells. So basically, from the stage the female lays the eggs, foxes come and destroy those nest sites in just a couple of days, because their senses are just so advanced in comparison to some of our other animals as well.
And the Aussie Ark recently had a project where you personally went out and looked for some little turtles. How did that go?
Yeah, so I was very lucky, and this project's gone on for, as I said, almost 4 years, over 3.5 years, and everything takes a very long time to turn around. Now, originally, we were due to collect turtles from the wild, and then, of course, we experienced what has been probably Australia's most severe drought. Now, these turtles have been on the planet for an extremely long time. They've probably never experienced the drought that we just observed. we were visiting sites where you're used to these beautiful east-flowing rivers where you can find multitude of these, like large numbers of these particular species of turtle. Now, we were visiting these sites in the Barnard River, and they were completely bone dry. When you would walk up to what would now be a puddle, which used to be a large hole, I'm talking 2 by 3 metres square of mud with a knee-deep water, that's it, and that's all they're hanging on in, and you were picking up turtles from these mud sites. There was a lot of unlucky turtles as well. As we walked around, we'd find discarded turtle shells, Manning River turtle shells, turtles that you could see have tried to escape these drying ponds to get to deeper water, perish very, very quickly. Now, on this collection, or on this survey that we did, we were actually fortunate enough to bring back our first 3 adult Manning River turtles for the insurance population, which was wonderful. Obviously, experiencing what we saw in this drought-stricken zone was traumatic. Like, there was dead wallabies, dead turtles, dead snakes. It was just, the list goes on and on and on. Things that were not only... these animals were finding the remaining water holes, but there was no food. There's just nothing for them. It was barren. So it was pretty hard to see. But the good result is that we actually got to collect some turtles and bring them back. Now, the pools that we pulled these turtles from, they were going to be dry in a week, which means those turtles were going to be dead in a week. So to bring them back and move some of the other ones that we found into larger water bodies till at least the rain came about 5 or 6 weeks later was a great thing for Aussie Ark to do. Now, from that, we also collected a clutch of eggs from the Manning River. Now, a local landowner saw the female turtle nesting. First time it's ever been documented, a Manning River turtle female nesting, which is pretty amazing in itself. I went up there myself, collected the eggs, brought them back to the Reptile Park, incubated them for 48 days, and then we had 10 of the 12 eggs successfully hatch. Now, 7 months on since they've hatched, those little ones have tripled in size. Their shells are really hard, they're very active, they're incredibly robust little turtles. And at some point later on in this year, between November and December 2020, they'll be released back into the same river system that they were collected from as eggs. Now, the reason we took the eggs is because we didn't want to leave them there, because we didn't want foxes to get to them. We kind of cut out the fox out of that process. And I really think for turtle conservation in Australia, that's key. If we can eliminate the major problem, which is a real sticking point in most conservation programs, is trying to isolate the major threat and then eliminate that major threat. And when you're dealing with another animal like a fox, it's very, very difficult. This is the way you do it. Remove the fox from the issue by removing the eggs and incubating them. But of course, then you follow on from that. How do you find the eggs? Very, very difficult. But again, that's what you've got to work towards. So we got these little hatchlings. They'll be released, and hopefully they'll be the first of many hatchling turtles released back into the river system over the next decade.
So you've just given them a head start and avoided the foxes completely?
Exactly. Head start programs. It's been successful in turtle projects, tortoise projects right around the world. There's no reason why it wouldn't be successful with our Australian species.
So the other big Aussie Ark project, and its original project, involves an insurance population for Tasmanian devils. And this year the process of rewilding has begun, where the devils are reintroduced into a sanctuary in the Barrington Tops, where the Manning River has its source. Now, rewilding in Australia focuses on restoring the ecosystem by reintroducing top predators that our ecosystems are lacking. Is there a chance that by rewilding Tasmanian devils who will compete with foxes, we could preserve the Manning River turtle without having to manage insurance populations and head start programs?
100% believe so. Because I tell you what, I think if a Tassie devil stumbles across a cat or a fox, it's probably going to take them on. I don't think they're smart enough to go around digging up eggs straight after they're laid. They'd much rather just find a wallaby carcass that they could smell from a kilometre away. Much easier for them to hunt that than it is to go looking around for eggs at night. They're definitely nowhere near as cunning as a fox. Yeah, I do, in theory, and I guess we're talking a very long time away before that even being a possibility, and also, too, I guess that the climate's changed a lot as well. So where we situated Barrington Tops, where the Tassie Devils are in this massive sanctuary, it's very similar to Tasmania, the high elevation, quite cool temps. Manning River turtles obviously found, the headwaters of the Manning River starts in the Barrington Tops, but I'm talking, you've got a fair distance before you start getting into really Manning River turtle habitat. But yeah, I don't think that would be as anywhere near the threat on a Manning River turtle like what a fox is.
I think that's all we have time for today, and thanks for being on the show, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.